Good morning, friends. Such a beautiful day outside. So good to see you all filling the room in from the back. That's how we are, very much like every other church. Sorry. That's where the similarities end. So grateful for the rain this weekend. Everyone in here, I bet, is grateful for the cooler weather except Melissa, who made it clear she is not happy about that. Still not wearing shoes. And you know, every week I invite us to come into presence when we begin. And this week we're beginning a series on what that looks like in our lives as often as possible. And so I invite us all in this moment to begin today and to begin this series and this month by taking a few deep breaths. Go ahead and feel your feet on the floor. And just come to presence. See if you can feel things slow down just a little bit for you as I invite you to respond to the words I'm about to say on the screen. Come as you are, aching, tired, joyful, or seeking. Here, we are woven together in love. Set down what you carry and let this be a place of rest. Here, we are held in hope and mercy. And be present to yourself, to each other, and to the divine life which flows through all things. Here, together, of divine life that connects us all. This common thread of divine life in which we live and move and have our being, our God, who is lover, beloved, and love overflowing. Amen.
In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. In the center of the center, there's a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends. Shining, shining, a light that never ends. Shining from the center, a light that never ends.
Good morning. I'm not sure the mic is, we're on, okay, good. Welcome to Common Thread. My name is Phil Carrasco, and I'm very happy to be today's liturgist. Welcome. Whether you're a newcomer or an old-timer, someone who's been here a year or someone who used to come years ago, if you found us online or whoever you are, and no matter what brought you here today, you belong. We are so happy to have you with us this morning. If you'd like to know more about us, just click this QR code and we'll send you a zero-pressure email with more information. You'll also have the option to connect with a live human being, which, if you really want to know what we're about, is the best way to go. You can get a first-hand account of what this place is really like, where we shine, where we might fall short, but mostly how transformation is the aim, wherever each of us may be on our spiritual journey, knowing that making the journey together takes us farther than we could ever go on our own. So, welcome. If you're having a hard time today, an even more heartfelt welcome to you. In our culture, we are inclined to isolate when the going gets tough, but we know that standing together, standing with each other on our rough days is an act of solidarity, an act of love, and part of what makes our personal and collective transformation possible. So each Sunday down the hall, we have a listener who is trained to hold space for us when we're having a challenging time. If you need an ear to listen, a shoulder to cry, or just a different perspective, head down the hall and a trained listener will be there to hold space for you. Be assured your conversation is in absolute confidence. Our listener today is Heather. And also at any time, you can always go to the URL or the link there and request support through our community care team. Morgan leads up that effort, and if you let her know what's up, she'll get you pointed in the right direction. And now, let's say, as we do each week, if you are here, you belong.
If you are here, you belong.
We are, every one of us, carriers of inner light.
We are, every one of us, carriers of inner light.
And we are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath.
We are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath.
And as fellow carriers of divine light and divine breath, I invite you all to stand and greet each other. Hi.
No reason. Just got left behind. Sorry.
Love it.
You know, friends, Joe Parker has an interesting experiment that he said I should try one Sunday. And that's just to let you all keep talking until 11 o'clock. And I just might do that one Sunday. Yeah. Pretend that I'm showing up with a lesson, but I don't have one because I'm just going to let you talk.
Yeah, that's right. That could be arranged.
to this ugly game. I see a war designed to never be tamed. I've slept in the rubble amongst the shame, screaming at the bombs, this is not in my name. And I'm seeking kindness, I'm longing for safety, and I'm praying for hope. And I'm craving compassion, searching for sanity, praying for hope. I've been stripped to the bone, and home is where we can belong, and home is where our children grow strong. And home is where the fire burns low, and home is where peace can come from, and home is where peace can come from. And I've traveled for months and ran thousands of miles, and I've fled the land that holds the heart of my kin. And I know you now see the torn state I'm in. I can't tell you my name or the places I've been. And I'm seeking kindness, I'm longing for safety, and I'm praying for hope. And I'm craving compassion, searching for sanity, praying for hope. I've been stripped to the bone, and home is where we can belong, and home is where our children grow strong, and home is where the fire burns low, and home is where peace can come from, and home is where peace can come from. And I'm praying for human kindness, and I'm praying for human kindness. I'm praying for human forgiveness, and I'm praying for us all to belong. And they call me a migrant, they call me a thief, they call me a beggar man, an asylum seeker. But I was once a teacher, I was once a family man, and I was once a dreamer, a community leader. And I've seen friends and family all scattered and broken, and we don't know why the cruelty keeps raging. Yes, I'm seeking your kindness, I'm longing for safety, and I'm praying for hope. And I'm craving compassion, searching for meaning, and I feel so alone. I've been stripped to the bone. Home is where we can belong, and home is where our children grow strong, and home is where the fire burns low, and home is where peace can come from, 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 and home is where peace can come from.
A lot going on this week. Today, first Sunday of the month, we've got Brew Crew, which we skipped last month because of Easter. So we're back on it, Linwood Brewing. And you can get more details in a second on these other items, I'll get you those details here on the next slide. And I've got a couple of book groups. They both meet through Google Meet. And if you're reading these books, mark your calendar. And if you missed anything or want a deeper dive into any of these items, you can find out one of three ways, of course, in our Church Center app, the website, and there's a weekly email to look out for.
Thank you, Phil. All right, just a couple of things real quick. I just talked with Heather Olson, in fact, about this a minute ago. If you are interested in serving on Sunday mornings, we are more than happy to welcome you into the space to do so. And so if you are in the app, it's so easy. You just go to your profile picture, and there'll be opportunities for you to sign up. We need coffee servers, listeners, liturgists. Now, if you're a listener, we do want to talk with you a little bit to see what your background is for that. We do have people go through a little bit of a process here to do that, but some people come ready-made for it. So if you want to serve in any of these roles, we've got people have been stepping up all the time, so it's great. You may not get the chance, but if you see an opportunity and you want to take it, please do that. If you have questions, just reach out to Ashley, as you know. Do you know anybody who'd like to work with our kids? We're a little short-handed downstairs right now. As a matter of fact, we wanted to ask Shelby to come up and sing with us today, but she couldn't because she just could not spare not being down there. So there's a stipend involved, and if you are interested or you know somebody who might be interested, reach out to Shelby. Let her know that you know somebody who might want to do such a thing. And the third thing is we have a bunch of stuff in this closet over here. Some of you have been in this closet, so you know what I'm talking about. And probably, I don't know, 60 to 70% of it doesn't need to be in that closet. And so we are planning to, if we get enough help today, move some of those things downstairs. We have another storage room downstairs off the kids' room. So if you're able to stay right after the service today, just come up here to the front. We'll show you the things that we want moved. And we would really appreciate the help to do that because we're looking to streamline and be a little bit more organized so that we can kind of more effortlessly move into our Sunday mornings and help Andy, who's doing such a great job in that sexton role or that chapel setup role or whatever we want to call it, but we want to support her in that too. So if you can do that, we appreciate it. And Dusty called an audible this morning. Didn't have him on the list. He's not on the run sheet, but he wanted to get up and say a few words about a big win that happened with One Wake this week. So come on up, Dusty. Dusty.
Thank you. Am I on? Yep. Okay. If you're on the One Wake team, please stand up. So some of us went to Cary to the town council, and there were a bunch of other people, and the win was that, well, the situation was that Cary was going to budget less for affordable housing than they had in previous years, to about 69% of what they had done before. And because of One Wake's efforts, they raised it back up to 100% of what they had done before.
That was a short and sweet win. Thank you. All right, folks, I'm going to invite you once again to get grounded. Invite you to feel your feet on the floor. Take a few deep breaths. Allow your eyes to close if that feels comfortable. And let your posture be upright, not rigid. Relaxed but not collapsed. Just be present. See if you can bring your attention simply to the fact that you are here. not thinking about it, just sensing it. I invite you to bring your attention back down to your feet. Feel the contact with the ground. Feel the weight. Feel the quiet pressure of being held. Let that awareness rise slowly into your lower legs, your knees, your thighs, no effort to change anything, just allow your legs to come online. Just notice that your body is supported. You don't have to hold yourself up all by yourself. Now you allow your attention to widen into your hips, into your belly. And notice the gentle movement of your breath. Need to deepen it, just let it move as it will, in you and through you. And now into your chest, your heart center. Feel your breath there. See if you can sense, just for a moment, your breath and your body together. Now allow your attention to flow into your shoulders and down your arms. Into your hands. See if you can feel your hands from the inside, a quiet aliveness. Or maybe almost nothing. Whatever you feel or don't feel, stay with what's real. Now let your attention flow back up, your arms into your shoulders and your neck, your face, your jaw, your eyes. See if you can let the muscles in your face soften just a little. And let that attention flow to the top of your head. let your whole body be here, from your feet to your head, one field of sensation. Gently notice that there is sensation, that you can be aware of it. Let your body be held. Let your breath breathe itself. And in this quiet, you might begin to hear the words we are invited to sing together as something that is already true within you. Be still and know that I am God.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still. Be still. Be still. Be still.
So back in February, during the What Are You Thinking session we held in the Fellowship Hall on Rise Against Hunger Day, our conversation somehow shifted from whatever the lesson was about that day into a discussion around artificial intelligence. And the tension in the room was palpable. There's a lot of anxiety among us about it, a lot of anxiety, and that makes sense. So I thought I'd do a sermon series on it. But then I also thought, not yet. Because let's be honest, AI isn't the only thing that's got us on edge these days. Geopolitical conflict only seems to be intensifying, which is not disconnected from soaring energy prices and inflation in general, ongoing concerns about immigration and aviation and climate change and war and democracy itself, and yes, the ways in which Christian nationalism seems to be gaining more and more of a foothold in our very own government. And Christian nationalism is a serious thing, but the way it's been playing out these days, honestly, if the stakes didn't feel so high, we might rightly call it theater of the absurd. I mean, a few weeks ago, we had the President of the United States post a photo of himself as Dr. Jesus after saying he doesn't like the Pope because he is weak on crime. We had the Secretary of Defense or War or whatever he's calling himself stand up at the Pentagon and pray lines from Pulp Fiction as if they were literally lines from Scripture. And then we had the Vice President take it upon himself to say that maybe the Augustinian Pope doesn't really understand St. Augustine's just war theory, and he ought to be more careful with his theology. And then so many other voices piled on to tell that Pope to stay out of politics and focus on morality, which might be the most absurd statement of all. Because genuine spiritual leadership can try to rise above partisanship, but it can't avoid being political. And by that, I don't mean aligning with a party or pushing an agenda. I mean engaging with the way we live together, the way power is used, the way decisions are made, the way human dignity is upheld or diminished. And that's what politics actually is. It's the shaping of our common life, including artificial intelligence, which is, by the way, one of this Pope's signature issues. So, if you care about love, if you care about justice, if you care about truth, you are already in a political conversation, whether you like it or not. And I know a few of you have wondered why I don't spend more time up here talking directly about politics, especially when there is so much to talk about. Because that's a fair question. And believe me, it's not that I'm unaware of what's happening or that I don't have thoughts about what's happening. And to be clear, if you're looking for more direct takes, I do sometimes write about that on Substack, sometimes with a little more heat. But even there, I'm trying to root what I say in something deeper than reaction. Because what I'm actually trying to do here in this space is help us become people who can stay grounded in the middle of all of it. People who are rooted enough in something deeper than our fears about AI, deeper than our outrage over war, deeper than our certainty about who is right and who is wrong, so that when we do step into the political sphere, we're not just adding more noise to it, we're bringing something different, something steadier, something that actually has the capacity to transform the way we show up in the world. Because times like these don't just give us something to react to or have opinions about, they reveal something about us, about how we respond under pressure, about what gets stirred up inside us, about the patterns we fall back on when things feel uncertain or intense. And if we don't slow down long enough to see that, we end up thinking the problem is only out there, when in reality, something is also happening in here at the exact same time. And that in here piece matters more than we might think. Because when things feel unstable, something in us starts looking for ground. We naturally reach for clarity. We naturally reach for certainty. We are wired to reach for something that will help us feel like we're back in control. And that's not a character flaw. It's a movement toward safety. And a sense of felt safety is a deeply human need. But the thing is, the way we reach for safety shapes the way we show up in the world. It shapes whether we move toward control and certainty, or whether we're able, even in small ways, to stay present, to stay open, to stay grounded in something deeper. And most of the time, that is not a conscious choice. It's something that happens automatically. It happens in our bodies before it happens in our thoughts. I mean, sometimes something in us can stay grounded. We don't have to shut down right away. We don't have to grasp or brace. And then just as quickly, something else can take over. And we might find ourselves tightening or reacting and reaching for certainty. And for many, if not most of us, that reflex toward protection is stronger than the one toward presence. Usually not because something is wrong in the moment, but because something in us once learned that staying open wasn't always safe. Which means this isn't just about deciding to be more present. It's about becoming slowly, honestly, able to rest in a safety that's already here. And that takes time. It takes patience. If we actually want to show up differently in a world like this, not just react differently, but be different, we can't just think our way there. We have to train our way there. We have to practice. Practice is what begins to create just enough space for something new to happen. It slows things down just enough for us to notice what's already happening inside us and around us before we're completely caught up in it. Because, again, most of the time, we're not choosing our reactions. We're being carried by whatever current is moving through us in that moment. And those currents aren't just personal, they're part of something larger. We're all moving in something, whether we name it or not. You could call it a river, or a flow, or just the movement of life itself, this divine life in which we live and move and have our being, carrying everything along. And across time and cultures, people have tried to name that same movement in different ways, have looked for the meaning in all of it. Indigenous wisdom that listens to the land as alive and speaking, Sufi mystics who whirl their way into union with the divine, Buddhist practitioners who sit in stillness and watch the mind until it softens, Jewish mystics tracing the hidden movement of divine presence through creation, all diverse and beautiful streams flowing from this divine life and flowing right back into it. Later this year, we're going to look more deeply at some of these other ways of accessing divine life, to explore the unique wisdom and gifts that each of them bring to mysticism and spiritual growth. But for now, we've begun to think of ourselves here less as identifying as a Christian church and more as a wisdom community in the Christian stream. Not the only stream from which we draw, not the whole of it, but the one that has carried most of us in one way or another right up to the doors of this church. And the Christian stream has great beauty and depth and wisdom. It gives us a language, a lineage, a set of practices that we can actually work with. And within this Christian stream, as in all spiritual streams, there have always been different currents running through it, each with their own gifts and challenges. Two in particular show up again and again. One that moves toward structure and power, toward organizing, defining, preserving, holding things together. And another that moves toward presence, toward direct experience, surrender, love, a kind of lived awareness that cannot be reduced to systems or contained by them. You could call them the institutional current and the contemplative current. And by their very nature, they exist in tension. One tends to move outward toward influence, toward control, toward shaping the world. The other tends to move inward toward transformation, toward awareness, and toward the deepening of love. We can see these two currents flowing in varying degrees through all religions, and in fact, we can clearly see it right from the beginning of the Christian tradition. Simon Peter, the one the early church would come to organize itself around, holding things together, trying to build something that lasts, and Mary Magdalene, the first witness to the resurrection, speaking from direct experience, from encounter, from something alive that can't be reduced to structure. And over time, these orientations matter because the further the institutional current gets caught in the grip of power, the more it's drawn toward building hierarchies and defending doctrine, the easier it becomes to drift from the very thing it was meant to serve, as it comes to equate strength with control, mistake certainty for truth, and protect the container instead of drawing from the life within it. And the contemplative current, while it's quieter, harder to institutionalize, harder to scale, tends to stay closer to the heart of what Jesus was actually embodying and teaching. It shows up in the desert mothers and fathers who stepped away from power to seek clarity, in the monks and mystics who speak from direct experience, in people who keep returning to presence, to something alive that can't be contained. Now, this current has its own distortions. It can slip into a kind of quiet superiority, as if seeing more clearly somehow makes us better than others. It can become inward to the point of disengagement, or even secretive, like something meant only for those who get it. But at its best, it keeps returning to presence, to love, to the kind of transformation that begins within and then moves outward. And when you step back and look at the stream as a whole, you begin to recognize that these currents are not separate from each other. They flow within the same stream, intermingling, overlapping, sometimes pulling in different directions at the same time. And it's interesting to watch this play out right now, in real time, on the largest stage of the religious world. Back to Pope Leo, the so-called successor of Simon Peter. Here you have the head of the most historically powerful institution in Christianity, an office shaped for centuries by structure, authority, and proximity to power. And this guy is the one who is now speaking truth to power in a political way that is, contrary to what some might say, actually appropriate to his office. But when he's asked what grounds him, what his spirituality actually is, he doesn't point to doctrine. He doesn't point to authority. He doesn't point to the institution itself. He kind of channels his inner Mary Magdalene and points to a monk in a kitchen. A 14th century Carmelite named Brother Lawrence, whose entire life was about learning how to notice God in the middle of ordinary moments. Most famously, when he was doing a chore he detested, washing the dishes. And that's disarming, because it means the center of gravity here isn't where you'd expect it to be. It means the person sitting at the heart of what has long been an imperial institution is drawing from somewhere deeper than that institution, which means the contemplative current isn't outside the institution, it's moving right through it. It always has, in fact, many times hidden, and perhaps never quite so clearly at the top. And that institution didn't just get handed to us by God Almighty, of course. It was formed by people, shaped by people, led by people. Every layer of it, its power, its rigidity, its beauty, its distortion, is an extension of human beings living within it. which means the currents we see in something like Christianity or any other institution aren't just parallels to what's happening in us, they're expressions of it. They are what it looks like when our inner currents get scaled up into systems, amplified, organized, given form. And once you see that, you start to recognize it, not just out there, but in here. The same tension, the pull between power and presence, control and surrender that we're watching play out on a global stage is also moving through us. It's always moving through us. We tighten. We grasp. We want certainty. We start trying to get our bearings to figure out who's right, who's wrong, where we stand. And most of the time, we're already reacting before we even realize it. Over time, the easier it becomes for the self-preservation instinct in us to do what the institutional current of the church has done. We equate strength with control. We mistake certainty for truth. We protect ourselves instead of drawing from the deeper life within us. And when that happens, we also drift from presence. We drift from the heart of the divine life within us, which makes it harder and harder to realize the kind of transformation that helps us remember who we are, that we might make a real difference in the world around us. And that's exactly why we're not jumping right into a series on artificial intelligence. Or anything else political for that matter. Because before we try to make sense of something that has the potential to trigger so many automatic reactions in us, we have to learn how to stay grounded regardless of what waters we are swimming in or what is swimming in those waters. And we've been working on it. We've been remembering. We've been untying the knots that bind us. We've been seeing more clearly. We've been waking up to the fact that life is pulsing everywhere, that everything is sacred. Most of us have touched that, even if we have only glimpsed it for just a moment. But at some point, it stops being about catching a glimpse. It becomes about learning how to live there. Because if we want more than a moment, if we want this to shape how we actually move through our lives, then the question becomes, how do we live this? Day in and day out, right in the middle of everything. Everything on the world stage, everything in our communities, and everything in our own lives. Because it's one thing to believe that everything is sacred. It's another thing to move through your life as if that's actually true. And that's where practice comes in. What we're talking about here isn't stepping away from the chaos or the boredom or the joy. It's not finding some quiet corner where everything finally makes sense. It's learning how to be in the middle of all things, all of them, without getting swept away by any of them. And that's what contemplative practice is for. Not escape, not retreat, training. Training our attention so we can notice what's actually happening. Training our nervous systems so we're not immediately thrown off balance. Training our capacity to stay present even when things feel uncertain or heated. And underneath all of that is something even more basic. Learning how to stay with a sense of safety. You all know this. It was the number one theme that came out of this year's listening session, the need for felt safety. Because when something in us doesn't feel safe, we won't stay present. We'll reach for certainty, or argument, or control, or distance. Not because we're doing something wrong, but because something in us is trying to protect us. And that means this isn't just individual work, it's something we create together. The more we can together cultivate even a small sense of steadiness, of groundedness, of not having to brace against everything, the safer we can feel, and the more possible presence actually becomes. And over time, that begins to change which current we're able to more consistently remain in. And the current we are in has more of an impact on what's going on in the world, politics, justice, and even artificial intelligence than we might even know. So for the next few weeks, we're going to slow this down and make it practical. We're going to take a cue from, of all people, the Pope himself, and practice together. Drawing from some fourth way and interspiritual practices anchored by Carmen Acevedo Butcher's gorgeous translation of Brother Lawrence's book, Practice of the Presence. Which means this isn't about adding something new to your life. It's about learning how to meet the life you already have and how to meet it differently. Not just on Sundays, but throughout the week, in quiet moments and in chaotic ones, with people you love and people you struggle to love. The invitation is to see if we can begin to develop a shared practice of presence, not perfectly, not all at once, but together. And we'll build some simple ways to support that. Small pauses, shared rhythms, things you can return to during the week. More about that in a minute. So this doesn't just stay here, but starts to take root in how we actually live. Because folks, in a few weeks, we're going to step into that AI conversation. And later this year, into others that might carry just as much charge. But when we do, the question won't just be what we think about these topics, it will be how we meet them. And we meet them with what's already in us, which is why we need to practice. Because it roots us in something deeper than reaction, so we can respond, learning to align with the deeper current instead of being caught in the surface ones. Because I'd argue the work in front of us isn't to control the river, or to yell about it, or to protect ourselves from it, but to become the kind of people who can notice when we're being carried and begin to move more and more with the current that brings us new life. So friends, if you were here last August, you remember that's when we launched our Substack. It has grown quite a bit since then, but we're going to have another intentional period of doing practices together to help ground us during the week. And so if you haven't signed up for the Substack and you want to participate in something together, grounding exercises and practices throughout the week this month, I encourage you to go to this QR code and sign up for the Substack. It's free for now. No, it's free. It's always free for everybody in this room. It might not be free for everybody outside this room at some point, but it is free. So join us there. We will be posting some things that we can do together, and I'll leave this up for just another minute so you can click on it. But if you don't get the chance to do that this morning and you decide later that you do want to join the Substack group, the link is on the website. It's very easy to get there. I think it's in the app as well. So feel free to subscribe, and then you will be sent emails, or you can check out that app to see what it is that we're doing this week. And with that, folks on the live stream, so glad you joined us this morning. We're about to do something in the room that we invite you to do online as well, called What Are You Thinking, Sensing, and Feeling? We're going to talk about the lesson. We're going to talk about the service. We're going to talk about what's going on in our lives and what's going on in the world. And folks online do the same thing, and they'd like to invite you to join them. So if you just click the link that's below the video, it'll take you to a Google Meet, and I think it's Chris who's leading today, and he and his friends, my friends, all of our friends will be so happy to welcome you there for a conversation. They've learned how to develop and cultivate robust spiritual community online, and they're happy for you to join them. If you're not interested in talking this morning, or you're watching it another time, there's another link below that link. And if you're new and you're curious, you want to know more about us, you can click that link to request a newcomer email that is not dissimilar to the one that Phil mentioned earlier, but this one has a little more remote specificity to it. So if you live in Kalamazoo or across the country or New Zealand or wherever, remote might be the way to go if you're interested in us. So go ahead and click that email. We'll be happy to click that link, and we'll be happy to send you that email. And with that, friends in the room, can we put one hand on our hearts and remember that the divine life is in us. When we are still, we know that that divine life is there. And we are called to share what is in us with the rest of the world. And so let's extend our hand to our city and to our world, sharing what is in us with everyone with whom we live, with whom we work, with whom we go to school, as we take seriously each week our charge to be healers and repairers of our world, drawing from that deep presence. Amen. Friends on the live stream, God bless you. You are dismissed. Friends in the room, we just talked about it. Let's get grounded before and get in touch with what we are sensing and feeling before we share.